I've never walked away from situations where there was pressure. What scares me is missing the potential that could actually be. Before we got up on stage, I would replace the R with Chief Rebuild Officer, because there's literally not a situation where you come into that things are going well, or you got to build something from the ground up.
Welcome to the Emblazers show, where B2B leaders are igniting revenue. I'm your host, Abby Kerr, and on today's episode, we're taking you back to Emblaze Revenue Summit 2025 for a popular main stage panel called A View from the CRO Hot Seat. And in this panel, you will see three C-level leaders, chief revenue officers, all of them, talking about what it really takes to lead revenue today, the mindset that you have to have, the special challenges that come with the role, how the role is different from being a chief sales officer, and what these three individuals are thinking of as they lead revenue at their organization right now. Let's go straight to the episode.
We thought it would be interesting. We had the CXO panel this morning, the idea of a peek inside the C-suite and the secrets we as sellers need to know about what's going on in their minds. Now we're in a different C-suite, and it's the C-suite that many of us roll up to in our organizations. But I just need to see a show of hands. Do we have CROs, CSOs by title in the room here? Some hands raised. We have a couple, but most of you are reporting to CROs, CSOs, and maybe even aspiring CROs, CSOs. So I thought it'd be fun to have a panel where we talk to them about the kinds of things on their plate, the kinds of things they care about, the kind of things that they're watching, the kinds of things they're seeing, and what they think of the team that they've assembled and what you all need to do together. And each of these folks are going to just give you a brief background on their CRO, CSO suite experience, and then we're going to dive into some questions that I hope are questions I'm asking on your behalf. So I'm going to start on that end. Cindy, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Cindy Reiss-Clark, and I've got over 25 years of experience working for publicly traded companies, leading commercial organizations that supply into the pharmaceutical supply chain. So as Chief Commercial Officer, I lead the sales, marketing, market and product management, sales enablement, as well as customer service organizations.
All right, Jen.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for sticking around for this afternoon. I'm Jenny Dingus. I'm SVP of Global Sales at Clio, cloud-based legal technology. We are a Vancouver-based organization, Series S, focused on selling practice management law firm to practice management software to law firms in the small and mid-sized law firm space. And my mandate is all of global sales, the channel teams, solutions engineering, the top of funnel teams like BDRs and SDRs. And we're by nature a very SMB company, so all of our programs are focused on scale and repeatability and doing things at high volume.
Sona.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to be here. So I'm Sona Jepsen, Chief Commercial Officer and Chief Revenue Officer at a small company called CROs. I've spent my career driving revenue growth across some pretty large names, FIS Global, American Express, Rolls-Royce. In my most current role, I have a rather broad remit, and I've learned as we talk to Chief Revenue Officers and Chief Commercial Officers, you're never really sure what the job involves because it varies by company. And so I have the client management org, product sales, sales enablement, sales ops, performance, partnerships, pricing, commercial strategy, and then a few other things get thrown in. I'd say I love the job itself because of it's the art and science. It's the data-driven business decisions we get to make, but you get to work with the human elements of building trust and connection to grow sales. And I might be one of the few people in the room who will publicly admit that I do like working in private equity. So that's who I am.
It's okay, private equity people.
And with that setup, thank you. So hopefully what you hear from us inspires you and doesn't scare you. To all those who are thinking about CRO jobs and those of you who are in those types of jobs, maybe we can have a conversation after and trade some more stories. But nonetheless, I've been Ken Powell. I've been doing this for 25 years. I've done Chief Revenue Officer roles, Chief Commercial, Head of Product, CMO, I've also had the chance to be on the other side of private equity as a private equity operating partner. So I'm kind of seeing it for both sides. Spent first part of my career in large publicly traded companies, ADP, FIS as well. But the back half has been in both later stage private equity, as well as where I am right now, which is early stage venture capital, so Series B company. So many things are the same, many things are different, and hopefully you get a couple nuggets to work with.
Awesome. So I call this thing the CRO Hot Seat because, I mean, I don't think I have to quote the statistics about how long the tenure of the average CRO is, but it's a tough job. And I said, I want to call it the CRO Hot Seat, and Ken's like, well, that hot seat is really poised on top of a trap door. And my first question for the group, just again, for those of you who might be thinking, like, that's a job I aspire to someday. Why? Why do you take this job? What is it that, what's special about this job, this opportunity, and what you get to work on that keeps you coming back to work every day? Ken, I'll start on this end since you gave me the trapdoor analogy.
Perfect. So the statistics look like this. All other C-suite roles, CEO, CPO, CHRO, just put C and then the rest of it. The average tenure is like 6 years, 5 years. And some of them actually are like 7 and so forth. The chief revenue officer, 2 years. So that's a 60% shorter lifespan. So I don't know about you, but if you're looking at like, where's my life going to be, and it's going to be 60% shorter, I don't know why we decided to do that. So the question, like, why did you choose to do this? I don't know if I chose to be a CRO. What I chose to do was solve hard problems and problems that resulted in growth, areas to push on growth. And I've never walked away from situations where there was pressure. You know, that was what scares me. What scares me is missing the potential that could actually be. And you know, our job tends to be. I was joking before we got up on stage. Like, I would replace the R with Chief Rebuild Officer, because there's literally not a situation where you come into that things are going well, or you got to build something from the ground up, and it's ugly and it's gory and it's hard, but it also can be super fulfilling. So I've always found, I guess, that this type of work gives me the opportunity to really leverage my superpowers, which are like looking at patterns and problems in a way that maybe don't make sense when they're disparate, and then putting together a clear path to get forward on stuff like that. You know, I go back to when I was like 9 years old and thinking about, you know, the things that I did. Like I remember setting up a obstacle course in my backyard and running around the neighborhood trying to get kids to come and play with me. And like, by the way, I charged them all $1 to actually come in and do that. But it speaks a little bit to the point that I'll kind of frame up around the CRO. The real CRO mandate is to create what I would consider intentional scaling. Scaling that means that you can go take a vacation for 2 weeks and things just work. It's because it's integrated, it's systematic, it runs when you have 10 times more customers, 10 times more clients, 10 times more issues, and things don't just unfold. So we have to operate as system thinkers and be able to architect something that really makes the entire revenue engine work in harmony. And you know, that's why I think what Sona was saying, you see like the definition of the CRO, the Chief Commercial Officer, get different flavors in different organizations, but I fundamentally believe that when you get that working in harmony from left to right and up to down, it's something that really scales and makes it magical.
Awesome. Sona, how about you? What drew you to this job, knowing that you were poised for really a short tenure, it sounds like?
Poised is, I will use the term loosely. You have to be pretty scrappy. But I would say, I think you have to be an eternal optimist and hope that you can be the change agent the organization needs you to be. You would not be hired if there was hard work, right, that had already been done. I think I was really interested in finding an opportunity where I could make an impact. I think what I love about being a chief commercial officer is driving the revenue, right? So I get that accountability because it's very black and white. But I think in addition to that, what I love is I am held accountable to drive sustainable commercial models, right? So a year from now, we should be able to predict what growth is going to look like. We should be able to say what are the pluses and minuses, and how do we build a contingency business sales continuity plan. Developing teams that outperform market conditions. I'm passionate about the power of people, and that really excites me. And then I would say last and certainly not the least, right, is helping break down silos. Stop some of the finger pointing that goes on, right? I think in most organizations, so really helping drive cross-functional transparency are some of the things you get to do that are actually fun and enjoyable, provided you're successful at doing them.
Systematic thinkers, scalers. I didn't hear anything about golfing and scotch, so I don't want this job. So, Cindy, you were going to raise your
I
hand?
was just going to add to what Sonia said, because it's true. Like when you think about the seat, it might be, some flames, but you really see the whole business, and you see every interaction and the intersections that will make or break your business. From how you engage with your market, you see what's coming, and you actually are sitting in a seat that helps shape the future of your business and the organization. And so whether something's working, whether it's not working, but it's all about kind of that holistic view. You see those patterns and connections, but you are able to shape how the company reacts to them.
Jenny, how about yourself?
It took me to be sitting here on the stage to realize I've beaten the odds. I've been at Clio for 3 years in this role, so hopefully I'm here for a little bit longer.
Everybody steps away from you for a second.
For me, it's simple. I think that this role is not about golf anymore, although I did take some people to the Canucks first Avs game last week here in Denver, so we do some of that stuff as well. But for me, it's the intersection of data, people, and outcomes, and specifically customer outcomes that help drive a business forward, and just how interesting it is to know that you've got all these different levers you can pull at any given time that can drive growth. And to take it a little bit further, like Cindy is mentioning this machine, it's the army of people you have to drive the business forward, and how you can be surrounded by people that are so smart and so innovative and are thinking past current barriers, and the potential. It's all about chasing what the potential is, and that's what I guess keeps me from coming down the trap door.
Well, I love this, and again, I think it is a large-scale enterprise operational responsibility. It's not just selling and chasing a number. Correct. And so when I think about that, okay, selling and chasing the number is obviously there's part of the end goal, but there's strategies and operating principles and systems and all that you put in place. Is there a go-to move that you guys have? Like you said, you go in and usually when you enter, it's not because things are going great. A new CRO shows up because something's not going well. Is there a go-to move, like your first 100-day move, that you've had any particular success with, or you just abide by certain truths or approaches? I would love to hear that. And Cindy, how about you with this one?
So I think an important strategy, the way I look at any kind of new endeavor is what's working, what's not working. But from where I sit, it's always about what is the customer experience. Like if I'm a customer, take me through all of the moments of truth that we are actually delivering for the customer. And does every single person in the organization understand how they contribute to that experience? And so, I believe in customer intimate strategies. And I believe that if you're taking care of your customer and you're taking care of your people, your business will be able to grow and improve the way we want it to and get the outcomes. But if you're not taking care of your customer and you're not keeping track of what's happening in the market, where should you be playing, how are you investing either in your innovation or in your manufacturing or in your people to be able to drive the experience that you're having for your customer, that's where you can lose market share. That's where you can become irrelevant.
So all of your sales strategies fall apart if you don't have some sort of demonstrated proof
Correct.
and impact on customers.
Well, and
You've mapped
it's
that.
not just the sales team, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a business. And so, my experiences have been in manufacturing organizations. So it's a product at the end of the day that we sell. So you might get the order, but if you can't deliver what you promised, then that's the experience that you're providing to your customer.
So Tim, can I just add, because Cindy and I want to keep going, I'll be quick here. Like she mentioned people, and where my go-to move is my people. Flat out. You can mess a million things up in a business. You get the people right, somehow it figures itself out. So, like, when I think about what we're really charged with, it's chief hope officers, chief storyteller. It's getting people moving, getting momentum moving, because when that happens, systems move a lot easier. Things just work. So, like, there's like a number of strategies and tactics around effective communication, inspirational kind of messaging, the way that you take good examples and move them forward, because we're in the business of like making change happen, and it starts with the human beings who are on the ground. We're overwhelmed with AI is the miracle for a lot of us. That tool is helpful, but we're still going to be in a people business, and that's literally, I over-index on that. It's our toolkit.
Chief Hope Officer. That's lovely. Jenny, are you a Chief Hope Officer?
A lot of times I am. I think that when you look at a business, especially if you're coming in new, you have to look and see, like, where do I need to come in and resuscitate the culture of the business, and how do I pull sales back into the center of the story, and what do our cross-functional partnerships look like, and how do I make sure they're healthy so that we get the support to deliver the product that we need to deliver a happy customer, delightful customer experience. And so in order to get the mind share of your sales team, they have to keep demonstrating that level of commitment to them and winning, because that winning cures all.
Absolutely. Sona, first go-to move that you kind of count on to work early and often?
Sure. And I think these are moves independent of whether it's a CRO, CCO job, right? I think listen more than you talk is one I have learned over the years to be an incredibly valuable skill, especially in the first 60 to 90 days. The point of view of your customer, right? I think it's amazing how many great organizations are so inward focused, right? We have the answers. We know why we lost the sales deal. And it's always remarkable what you hear from a client, and you can always learn. I'd say the third piece is I have over the years become an incredible advocate of my sales teams, because I realize the difficult job they have, right? I think people, there's a tendency to layer on administrative, operational, sales enablement expectations on sellers that really take away from their day job, right? And so I'm fiercely protective of what we are asking our sellers to do and how we are paying them. To make sure it's tied right to the performance the company needs. And then I would say the last one, and please don't judge me for this, and fire fast. Nothing is more toxic to an organization than allowing bad behavior to continue, right? And the best way you can retain your good people is by letting them know that the shitty players are no longer welcome to this party. So
I feel like this went. I'm an advocate for my sales team. I'm an encourager. I fire those frickers pretty fast if they don't. Wow. All right. I love it. That's reality right there. Did that not feel real? That felt very authentic.
What if your next big revenue move didn't come from a blog post or a cold LinkedIn scroll, but from a real conversation with leaders who've been there?
As the world of sales is constantly evolving and constantly changing, I think it's even more critical to get together with people to understand how are they helping to solve some of the problems that our buyers have today.
Meet Emblaze, a community of sharp B2B minds, CROs, CSOs, rising stars, sharing what's actually working in sales, enablement, and customer growth.
We always find a lot of value in the partnerships that we're able to form with some of the other great organizations that are part of the team here. And personally, I love the opportunity to connect with my peer group outside of other organizations and learn from them and try to figure out if there's things that they're doing that we can pull into our organization and benefit from.
Join a monthly forum, dig into science-backed strategy, and get insight you won't find in your feed. Start your Emblaze journey today at emblazegrowth.com.
All right, I want to play a little game up here. Has anybody heard of the game Kiss, Marry, Kill? I know Kiss. I might have. This is a family show. All right. So I want to play a little game with the team up here, and I've even gotten some like placards, and I'm going to hold this up. I want each one in the kiss, and then the marry, and the kill. And the kiss is going to be, tell me one strategy, one tactic, one thing that you're going to try in the coming year that you're going to see if it works for you. You got your eye on it. And then the marry will be what's something you've been trying, like you're going to go all in on. And then kill is, yeah, we tried that, and it's dead to us. You with me? So we're doing one at a time. Each person's going to give us one thing they plan to kiss and begin investigating in this year that they got their eyes on. And who hasn't started yet? Have you started yet? We'll go with Sona. Yep.
So I would say KISS is we are investigating AI-powered deal coaching to help our sellers understand patterns in past sales successes.
All right. Jenny, what are you going to investigate?
We're bringing our sales team back to the office more, and we're doing more of the traditional get to room and coach, spend more time in person. A lot of our team emerged in sales during COVID and just didn't have that experience, and it's just really important for us that.
So deal coaching and deal coaching,
Yeah.
really. There's
Yeah.
many different methods, but
We're
there's
also open to AI deal coaching too.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I should come back. What does AI deal coaching actually mean? Like, how do you do?
It's like role playing.
Oh, with
an
AI
AI agent.
simulations.
Yeah, and
we got a lot of that
great
stuff
team.
out there. Y'all can check it out. All right, thank you, Cindy. What are you going to try?
Mine is with AI as well. I'm sure we'll marry it, but right now we're piloting several different sales agent technology as well as sales assistant. Because as Sona said earlier, that our sales team, we want to ensure that they're working on the most effective strategies that impact the customer. And so we're really looking at what can we take away in different scenarios that we can actually either give them information faster or be able to actually engage with the market in a different way, maybe earlier in the sales cycle, that we can use an AI agent for.
All right, AI for productivity, AI for deal coaching, people for deal coaching.
Yes.
But I love it. Okay.
I'm gonna pattern disrupt here.
All right.
So on my three, there'll be kind of a thread here. Were you all here for the listening?
Active listening.
So yeah, so listen. So probably active listening now, but what we need to start doing more of is listening to the market. So the category that we're spending time on is signal intelligence. What do I mean by that? Specifically around lead gen. We used to drive people through this push motion of buy a list, run them through sequences, follow up, track activity. I can see that nurture streams are you got to do way more nurturing up front to get deal cycles on the back end to go a lot faster. So we're spending a lot of time both through AI and then other more traditional, signal-based looking at things to get a better view at the top end of the funnel.
Okay, that's pretty specific too. You guys travel at a pretty high altitude, and all of a sudden we got some pretty solid tactics. Those are ideas they're going to investigate. Which things have been working for you? And I know you paid a lot to see this happen. You're like, I want my money back after lunch. So what are you going to marry? What have you been testing? What's been working? And you're like, we are all in on this. So Jenny, how about you first?
Data infrastructure. None of this AI stuff matters unless your data's good. In fact, AI can be a really big distraction if you don't have the right data infrastructure for it to draw off of. And for us, it's anything that helps our sellers spend more time selling, get them to insights faster, get more enriched accounts. But ultimately, it all comes to the integrity of the data that you have access to.
Okay.
So I'm married to leadership development. So we spend a lot of time, actually, it's a contradiction. We talk about how we want our sellers to be more impactful in the field, but we spend a lot of time on seller training or skills or other things. But what we find is the leaders are the ones that are actually, they're the ones that have to coach. They're the ones that have to ensure that whatever you're training on is actually getting implemented. And so I'm married to leadership development that's not just about the personal skills, but it's also about the critical thinking, what questions to ask, those Socratic methods that actually get us really elevating what we're seeing and how it connects.
So leadership as in your managers and
Yes.
leaders underneath you working with their teams. Got it. Okay. Sona?
We are doubling down on elevating, I'd say, our customer success teams to help expand sales. Some of that is our baggage where we've historically had a very disconnected function, but really leveraging that as an increasing sales channel.
So real quickly, does CS as somebody that provides leads like CSQL, qualified leads, or quota on renewals and upsells? How are you getting
It
closer
will
to the
eventually manifest itself with quotas, because it's important to have shared accountability and shared targets. But for now, it's leveraging, right, QBRs that our CS folks are having with clients as more than just an update on how the solution is doing, more than usage, right? Using that as an early warning for high-risk renewals or at-risk renewals, and actually then driving the intel around the next 3 solutions you should be buying from us based on the signals you are sending us.
All right. What are your signals telling you should marry, Ken?
The signal that I'll talk about is I'm fascinated with the application of agentic AI in support. So when I think of all the areas and where AI is really making like real use cases right away, you have the content offering and so forth. But the other one is in the support category. So when you think about chief revenue officer, like we should be fixated on ARR and how to get to that and the levers up and down, and the application of agentic inside support is really not displacing roles. It's changing the level of work in which they can do. So I'm very fascinated in that. We have a lot of stuff going on in that area right now, and in a scale-up business, like the whole idea of like being in like that seed strapping stage where you just don't have a lot of money, you gotta figure things out. It's a perfect application for that.
Awesome. All right. I saved the juicy one for last. Which of the things that you've been doing that you sort of believed in and thought was going to make a difference? In fact, you might have married it briefly. I should have put divorced, but I don't know, this is how it feels sometimes. So what are you going to kill? And Ken, I'll start on this end with you. What's tactic, strategy, technology? What's following through the tractor?
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, like I'm moving away from push motion to pull motion, and based on like signals and so forth. So what I mean practically is like sales-led growth, sales qualified leads will always be available, but proportionally shifting to PQLs and client success qualified leads, so forth. The other moving away from there is subscription. Everything that maybe you've read or you're experiencing in your business is going away. The world is done with it. Like how long it's going to take for that actually to change is a big question. But like we're moving more to consumption and usage and value-based pricing as a way of going to my third point where we're moving from. We will always have metrics around top of the funnel and activity and renewal velocity and so forth. But the depth in which we're going into engagement and adoption and client lifecycle as a better quality of revenue kind of metric is kind of where we're moving. So moving from push motion to pull motion.
Okay. Well, that's not tactical. That's your entire business model. It sounds like we're going to kill it, but trust us, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Awesome. Consumption model. Anybody else here who's been in a subscription sort of model, been investigating consumption models? I'm just curious how that's been taking off. Yeah. Once Salesforce dropped that hanky, it feels like everybody's now sort of thinking about it, and a lot's got to happen to be ready for that. Sona, what are you taking the axe to?
I'd say killing anything that has to do with generic sales enablement. Our reps weren't using it. In fact, they didn't find value. So we are moving to finding targeted, just-in-time enablement efforts that our reps are beginning to use, beginning to see value from. So look to do more.
Okay, what are the triggers for the just-in-time? What are the things you're looking for in order to know, oh, here's some enablement?
I would say it's primarily deal stages.
Okay. So no more generic, start with deal stages. Give them something that represents the situation they're in. Good. All right, killing generic. All right, what are you killing, Jenny?
So about a year ago, we signed a contract with Red AI to help automate our meeting motion, and it just didn't work. The ROI wasn't good for our space, given that we're going after really small law firms that aren't always discoverable in the traditional databases. And so we found that with this, it was more of a distraction for the team. The team was auditing it more than leveraging it. And so we're pulling that. And I think that the learning from that is just the discipline that you need to demonstrate when it comes to these shiny new AI tools. It can become really, you might have this anxiety, like I need to implement this tool because it's going to fix all my problems. But going back to my data comment, if you don't have the right data underneath it, it actually is just going to get in the way. And so we've got a really strict framework about how we're evaluating tools that we're introducing into our sales cycle.
Is the Reggie AI sales rep for Clio here?
Sorry guys.
Sorry.
We have a solution.
All right, Cindy, what's going?
So I think similar to what Ken was talking about is, we're spending a lot of time really mapping what truly moves the needle and what activities are correlated to the actual outcome and impact that we want to make. And what I found is that a lot of people's times were actually spent generating, PowerPoint decks or preparation for internal meetings that really weren't necessary. So we are killing any of those activities. Like, people shouldn't be spending all their time trying to put data together just because we measure it. It really is about translating that to the impact that we need to make. So it's we really need to focus. Anything that's not correlating your activity to the outcome that you want, kill it.
All right, thank you for that. Thanks for your honesty. Hopefully you got some nuggets there and heard some things that resonate with you. I at the risk of being Captain Obvious here, I think I have to ask this. I have to go to the place of our current economic uncertainty. And we have Nelson Griggs, the president of NASDAQ, coming up shortly. And we're going to save a lot of that for him. He's thrilled about that. But as CROs, like, when you see what we're experiencing, whether it's indecision or just the uncertainty and the question marks, things get paralyzed, things get stuck, but you're still in charge of growth. Where are you finding some calm and some certainty that you can pursue, and where are you going to find your growth as we try to work our way through this? So, who did I have first for this one? Cindy, you can start.
I can start.
Yeah.
So, in this uncertain time, I do think, like what you said, is around, what I find are people may not actually be starting new projects because they're trying to conserve what they can control, which is how they spend cash, how they make investments. And so we've got a lot of retention business. And so it's really looking at what is the heart of any customer's business, because their business isn't going to stop because of uncertainty. If anything, they're going to want to continue to invest in areas that they need for the future, because in many cases, investments, there's a lead time to those. And they're going to scrutinize them, but investments are still going to be made. So we've got to really discern, where do we focus our energy and time? And in addition, help our customers actually even through this uncertain time.
Yeah, and just to bring that to a really tactical example, because I had a similar response to that, is so Clio sells to law firms, and you need to understand your market. And legal services is generally a recession, I want to say it's recession proof, but a little bit more recession resistant than some other industry verticals. But that doesn't mean that all legal services are the same. What it means is we might see some practice areas drop in the way that they practice, and they might shift to other practice areas like bankruptcy or debt collection. And so having a real pulse on your market is really important here, so you know where you need to double down and where you need to back off. And then also, if you're fortunate enough to work in a company that has data, which hopefully many of you do, how do you leverage that data to discern those insights? So for us, we have a payments business. And so we actually have a direct line of sight to see the payments processing volume in certain practice areas. And we can see that, it might be declining in one area and increasing in another, and in real time pivot our marketing efforts and campaigns to support them. So it's really, how agile can you be, and also how, as a head of sales, how agile is your marketing partner in supporting you? And that partnership is really important in order to make sure you're continuing to fuel the top of funnel in a time where it might feel a little bit more anemic.
Tim, do we have time? I just want to pile on to that real quick. What Jenny's hitting on, I think, is a critical point. There's a term. Go look it up. You see it in early stage, hypothesis-based GTM. What's happening is that we've spent so much time not in like trying to figure out product market fit and ICP and what's the TAM and what's my take rate going to be. Like that's just old. And there's just got to be more experimentation and willingness to fail and instinctive type of things that you feel and you try and you do because you've got a signal or a pulse on what's going on. And a bunch of them are gonna be dogs, and one or two of them are gonna be good. So I think like that's a huge thing that's happening, and it's actually a mindset shift and then an operational way in which we have to think as commercial leaders going forward.
Yeah, a little experimentation. So we've got some research from Florida State that I did a blog on that talked about in uncertain times, it's hard to get a new logo because companies aren't going to think about change management. So it's a good time for retention and expansion. But if you're going to get a new logo, you have to find a new problem to solve. You're not going to displace an incumbent solving a known problem. You have to find a new problem that's kind of been unsolved. That's what it sounds like, is you get some signals, there's some opportunities, there's some misses out there. We could go get that. That might be an opportunity for growth, a new logo, as opposed to just trying to take out an incumbent, where right now they're like, change does not sound like we need more disruption. So, yeah, good. Sona, what are you thinking in terms of this idea of uncertainty and bringing some growth in these moments?
One of the things I've learned about people is that I think humans have a harder time with uncertainty than adversity, right? When COVID hit, that eventually people found a way to rally, right? But when times are uncertain with no real end in sight, I think that's when trouble starts to hit. I think the direction I've been giving my team is, yes, one part of our growth engine might be stalled, right? But there's a lot of other things we could be doing, right? We know what this cycle is going to look like. We know the decisions banks are going to be making. Maybe now they need to think about cost cutting and efficiency, right? And maybe it's not about growth. So it's really about repurposing the value we can bring to our clients. And because we have a multitude of clients, we're getting signals on what they are thinking about and what they are worried about. And so it's required us, I would say, to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more nimble, repurpose, repackage, and just show up in a different way to serve our clients.
Awesome. We got 1 minute for each of you to leave those who would be aspiring CROs with just your best nugget of wisdom. Let's just do this sort of rapid fire. And Sona, what's your big nugget of wisdom that you would give the aspiring CROs out there?
I would say it's not for the faint of heart, but it's an incredible journey. It's an incredible job. With the opportunity to make a tremendous amount of impact. I think the one thing I would encourage anybody, right, aspiring to any of these positions is, no matter where you sit today, think of how you can be the best cross-functional champion, right? How can you help drive cross-functional transparency? How can you help break down silos, right? So perhaps you sit in revenue ops. Are there shared KPIs? Is there an opportunity to have a unified dashboard that looks at metrics that are right for the organization as opposed to a silo? As a chief revenue officer, the allies that I have learned to really rely on and trust have done two things for me, right? They deliver on their domain expertise, but they've really been my advocates to break down the walls, break down the silos, and really help me drive the transparency. Just so I understand, and they've helped me understand the entire revenue ecosystem. So no matter where you sit, no matter what time, right, of your career journey you're in, there's a lot you could be doing to sort of get closer to where you'd like to be.
Awesome. Jenny, any words of advice?
Yeah, come with interesting insights and creative solutions to move the business forward. Don't be somebody that's just operating in status quo. If you're adding value and helping to move things forward, then you're going to be an asset to the executive team, and they're going to want to pull you along with them on the journey.
Thank you. Awesome. Cindy?
And along the same lines, I do believe that it is about having that curiosity and leveling up. Just think beyond where you are today and really think of the potential of what type of conversations are happening in the room that these roles have. It's not just about sales, it's not just about marketing. It's everything connects to how are we driving the business forward. And so really thinking about the whole business. You may not have a lot of interaction with one part of your business, but you need to understand how does information flow, or what part do they play in your success. So it is kind of thinking about, just because you may not know what somebody does, there may be that ripple effect that you need to be aware of. So it's how all of those things connect.
Ken, you got the final minute, plus Ken has a breakout tomorrow that sort of built on how to think about your career path towards a CRO. You might want to check that out. Sona's got a breakout tomorrow too, where she's going to talk about some practical systems to put in place from her experience as a CRO. So if you have questions, you can bring them to them in their breakouts tomorrow. But Ken, final word?
So the breakout will be about moving from the shit list to the short list, and so 10 habits in which you could kind of bring value both to your career and that of the CRO. Here's what I'll leave you with. Like, there's the title that we look at, which expects polished strength. And we go out there every day and we're expected to operate that way. You need to know that there's also a hidden strain. And the pressure of the job is real. And what we're looking for are teammates. I'm looking for people who can help me thin slice what's going on in the organization and make sense of complex stuff fast. And the best parallel I'll give you, and then I'll close it, is that my daughter tends to call me for two reasons. One, she needs $20, or two, there's some problem and she hasn't figured out how to solve it. I'm looking for the individual who doesn't act that way. The call that I get is the one that has insight, that has ideas, that has worked through it a bit before they come to me, and they've exhausted their own resources and ability to do it, and they need me as a thought partner to move something out of their way. Other than that, it's just another person on the org chart. It's not a teammate.
Thank you for watching the Emblazers show. We are so appreciative of your time and attention. If you enjoy the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It really does help. And be sure to watch out for the next episode. We'll see you soon.